what do your scriptures say about what's the destination of the soul after this life? So, to your question, what happens after this life is the soul is eternal. The physical body, the gross physical body is finished. That's what, the end, death. The gross physical body is finished. But there's another body. The other body is mind, intelligence, false ego. Mind, intelligence, false ego. That subtle body continues and carries the soul into the next. So your question is, what happens after? The soul, that subtle body, mind, intelligence, and false ego, the subtle body carries the soul to the next place of birth, the next mother. And what determines, this was my sister's question, what determines where the soul goes depends upon the conceptions of life, the absorption of the mind at that very moment. So what the mind is absorbed in at that very moment depends very much, if not entirely, it depends on what you were absorbed in when you were awake or before. Absorbed in, absorbed in, absorbed in, absorbed in, and then absorbed in. And that's where the subtle body takes the soul to the next destination. The soul is eternal. The body is perishable. When the perishable body is no longer usable, you throw it away. You get another covering. And where it is depends upon the mind, the disposition of what I'm absorbed in, what my thoughts and conceptions of life are absorbed in. Okay. Arjun. Which one's Arjun?
What is that? Arjun.
Arjun. You wrote this or someone wrote it for you? You wrote it. Why did Krishna fight for Arjun? Well, Krishna didn't fight for Arjun, except when he picked up Arjun's broken chariot wheel and started charging Grandfather Bhishma, because Krishna made a promise before the battles began. He said, "I'm not going to fight." You know that one, right? So he gave the choice to Duryodhana, and then second choice to Arjuna. Duryodhana, which is your preference? Me, and I won't fight, or all of my armies, 11 Akshohini divisions of soldiers? He said, I'll take the soldiers. So he then became the chariot driver of Arjuna with the promise that he wouldn't fight. Right? However, Krishna tricked Grandfather Bhishma by having Arjuna ask Duryodhana to fulfill a promise that he made long, long ago. You know the story? You know the story? Duryodhana was responsible. No, he can stand up. I want to be able to see. Duryodhana played a trick, and as a result of the trick, the Pandavas lost their kingdom, and they were sent into exile for 12 years. So when they were in the forest for 11 years, Duryodhana knew where they were because they weren't supposed to be in hiding. That came the final year. So Duryodhana went to where the Pandavas were in the forest And he was having a big party with a bunch of ladies, making lots of noise and splashing in a river, and he was purposefully showing off because he was free and they're off in the forest. So what happened was, there was a Gandharva. You know what a Gandharva is? Gandharva? You heard the name before? They're celestial beings, and the Gandharva had come, and he took exception to what Duryodhana was doing, and so he, the Gandharva, challenged Duryodhana to a battle. And Duryodhana was being beaten badly. It was really, really loud battle between Duryodhana and Gandharva, and he was being smashed. And the Pandavas go off in the forest. They heard the big battle going on. And Yudhishthira turned to Arjuna. Yudhishthira, the elder brother, turned to his younger brother, Arjuna, and said, I know that Duryodhana is a bad guy, and he's tried this and that and the other bad thing. That's okay. We, Pandavas, stand by Dharma. He's in danger. You go protect him. Because his elder brother said, and it was the principle of Dharma, that's what Arjuna did. So Arjuna drove away the Gandharva. He saved Duryodhana's life. And Duryodhana knew it. And so he said to Arjuna, I'm indebted to you. You just ask for anything you'd like, and it's yours. And Arjuna said, not now, maybe someday. So it's a promise, an unfulfilled promise. And we're going to come back and visit it because this is Mahabharata, very complicated. So what happened next was, the battle of Kurukshetra is going on. It's something like day number 9 of the battle. Grandfather Bhishma was the commander-in-chief of Duryodhana's army, and one evening, Duryodhana went to Grandfather Bhishma and said, you're commander-in-chief. You're so powerful, you can defeat the entire Pandava and all their men, but you're not really trying because you're partial to them. So get with it, you're a commander-in-chief. He was like insulting him or challenging him. So Grandfather Bhishma said, all right, here's 5 arrows. You take these 5 arrows. You come see me every morning anyway. After the morning activities, your morning religious duties, before the battle, come see me. Bring the 5 arrows, and with these 5 arrows, tomorrow I'll kill the 5 Pandavas. You know, Grandfather Bhishma, he's known, he always kept his word, and he never broke his word. He always kept his word, and he never broke his word. So what happened during the day, next morning, Krishna knew that Grandfather Bhishma had given these 5 arrows to Duryodhana. So Krishna reminded, hey Arjuna, your name is Arjuna. So Krishna reminded Arjuna, you remember when you saved Duryodhana's life? Yes, I remember. And he gave you a promise? Yes, I remember. And you said you take that, fulfill that promise later? Yes, I remember. Go right now and ask Duryodhana for the 5 arrows. He'll know what you're asking for. The 5 arrows that Grandfather Bhishma gave you. Duryodhana, give them to me. So Arjuna did what Krishna said. He asked for the 5 arrows. Duryodhana gave him the 5 arrows. So when Duryodhana came to see Grandfather Bhishma the next morning, Grandfather Bhishma asked for the 5 arrows. And Duryodhana said, oh, I can't give you the 5 arrows because late last night Arjuna came and asked me for the 5 arrows, so I had to give him because I made this promise. And Grandfather Bhishma did some quick math. 2 plus 2 equals 4. The person behind telling you to ask for those arrows, that's Krishna. So Krishna made me, who never break my promise, break my promise. I've never broken my promise. Krishna made me break my promise, so I'm going to make Krishna break his promise. I'm going to take another vow that today, before the end of today, Krishna is going to break his promise, or I'll kill Arjuna. Now, Grandfather Bhishma knows that Krishna protects his devotees, because this is your question. I'll read your question again. Your question was, why did Krishna fight for Arjuna? That was your question. He didn't fight for Arjuna, but when the fighting that day was so intense, and Grandfather Bhishma was totally focused on destroying Arjuna, toward the very end of the day, Arjuna's chariot was broken. And when Arjuna's chariot was broken, Grandfather Bhishma was ready to kill him, unarmed, off the chariot, and kill Arjuna. Krishna saw it. So Krishna picked up the chariot wheel of Arjuna. And with the celebrated painting and event, he was ready, he's got a suicide chakra, he doesn't need a chariot wheel. But he raised the chariot wheel and was ready to smash Grandfather Bhishma. Why? Break his promise. And he said he would fight. That was your question. He didn't fight, because what happened was, by law, by the codes of chivalry in Vedic time, when the sun sets, someone blows a conch shell, and that's it. That's the end of it, the fighting for the day. No fighting after the conch shell blows. Sunset. The sun set, someone blew the conch. Grandfather Bhishma dropped his bow and arrow, said, Krishna, please smash me. But it was too late, because the day was over. The battle was over. So he didn't exactly fight for Arjuna, but he was prepared to protect Arjuna, because above the promise I won't fight is something that's superior. The superior is my devotee. I will always protect my devotee. My devotee will never be vanquished. Did that answer your question? Yeah? The long answer? Huh? Okay, this is a mystery. Who's going to get this? Raja Leela. Which one is Raja Leela? Oh, that Raja Leela. You remember the question? Why does Radharani wear blue? Well, she has different colors, but she liked blue. What does she like about blue? Yeah. You knew before you even asked. Anything that reminds her of Krishna, she liked. See ya. This is a how-to question. You know how I answer a how-to question. How can we go back to Godhead in this life? Well, most people have to go to Godhead at the end of their life. You understand the distinction? Your question is how to go back to Godhead in this life. My answer is most people wait till at the end of this life and then they go back. But how to go back to Godhead in this life is you become Krishna's pure devotee. Such a person can become Krishna's pure devotee. And the pure devotee doesn't depend upon where your body, what kind of body you have, and where your body is. It depends on consciousness. So if you feel any one of us becomes fully Krishna conscious, That's back to Godhead. In this lifetime. Let me ask you, where was Prabhupada? He was in this world, but we could also say he was with Krishna always. And Krishna was with him always. That's back to Godhead. So become a pure devotee. Piece of cake, right? Just become a pure devotee. Last one.
One from this group.
All right. There he is. You like sports? You got a T-shirt on with sports in the front. That's what I'm asking. Why did Krishna flood Dwarkadish? Dwarka, not Dwarkadish. Ish or Isha means the controller of. Dwarka flooded, but not Dwarkadish flooded. We mean Dwarka, right? Well, the answer is Dwarka was manifested for Krishna's pastimes, and when Krishna's pastimes were finished, it was time for Dwarka to be finished or to vanish. So Dwarka vanished when Krishna's pastimes were over. That's why. Well, the place of pastimes, and you withdrew the place of pastimes and the pastime. So now what's next?
Now, thank you first very much for giving your time to our young children. Everybody who's below 10 years old, we're going to go to play outside, and the rest can be in here, the older children. We would request all the adults to please leave the room as well, so our youth can have some personal time with Maharaj. They have a lot of questions. So we'll take a minute for the transition. Thank you.
Okay. Looks like there's more questions than there are persons here. Can you come up to the front row?
Yeah. All the youth, can you please come forward?
Wow. Okay, a little bit of chaos, but that's okay. Kushal.
Kushal here.
He's going to come back.
Is it Kushi?
He has a question.
Oh, Kushal. Kushal went out. He's in here.
Okay, so you hold on to it.
Yes.
Anonymous.
Is the anonymous here? You know who that is.
Not fun.
Being born in Krishna consciousness, it begins like that. You?
Being born in Krishna consciousness, how do I authentically increase my desire to go further in bhakti and not get distracted by material desire? So I don't think I need to know who it is because it says anonymous. We'll just leave it anonymous. Someone's volunteering to be anonymous? Okay, anonymous. Anonymous is fine. We had a discussion this morning in the temple with Garuda and his nice topic, very interesting personality. Two things are needed, and you all know the Damodar Lila. Krishna tries to bind, Mother Yashoda tries to bind Krishna, and she can't bind Krishna, and she can't bind Krishna, and can't. So that the whole Lila, and then finally Krishna takes sympathy because she's perspiring and her flowers falling from her hair, and she's like, anyway, and he allows her to bind her. So a primary lesson from that whole Lila is there's two things needed in spiritual life: effort and mercy. Prayasa and kripa. Effort and mercy. So the effort that's needed is from our side, and the mercy is from Krishna's side. And the effort from our side, ideally, is to hear what the path is, and to some degree the do's and the don'ts, but it's more the consciousness behind the do's and the don'ts than the do's and the don'ts. And so there are things that are helpful, things that are detrimental. So try to maximize the helpful, minimize the detrimental. Eventually, detrimental just should be dropped and replaced with beneficial. So a gradual cultivation of bhakti from our side, and all the while looking for mercy. Becoming more and more and more eager for Krishna's mercy. Not that Krishna dials up mercy with you as you ask for more. His mercy is always the same. It's more a matter of, from our side, being eager for mercy, and Krishna displays his mercy, or the covering of Maya that mentioned in the question here as distractions.
That's a new question.
Okay. So, we get distracted by Maya. There's like so much diversity in the field of Maya. But the more each of us can become directed towards divinity, or directed towards Krishna, or directed towards light, more darkness is dispelled. Conversely proportionate with that term. Inversely proportionate. The same, the effort of mercy and good association, something that's inside us, and then something that we can at least become eager to receive from Krishna and keep in good association. What?
I'm just trying to make sure. Name is.
I can read it.
Okay, it's Isha. Can you get it?
Okay. How to deal with people who are constantly trying to bring you down. Smile. And maybe respectfully keep a distance. Don't be disrespectful, because then you butt into their program. The antagonism program. You just become, the victim becomes then the perpetrator. You become like the perpetrator. So don't become like it. So be respectful. In other words, the behavior is something you don't have to like or appreciate or hang out with or have much to do with. people that are carrying darkness, stay away from darkness and go to light. But always be respectful, because beneath the behavior is the soul. And generally speaking, when people are hurtful, it's because there's some hurt inside. Somewhere back there, they were hurt. Now they're just acting out, so-called protect themselves from that feeling. Or continue the same program. It's karma. Comes out karma. So you don't involve yourself in that kind of behavior. So on the outside you smile, and on the inside you smile. And be respectful. But, keep a respectful distance. And then keep strong relationships with people that are just the opposite. And it may happen, it may not happen. It may happen that person felt some hurt and they see that they can't touch you because you have some spiritual strength. Then you get envious and try even harder, but then they may also become transformed. So that's something that you can do, is understand their hurt inside, and you consider, what can I do to help this person feel respected, or feel they don't have to go around smashing people or hurting people. They can be accepting of kindness. So even if you don't have an answer to the question, ask yourself the question, what can I do that's beneficial for this person? Maybe it's just keep a safe distance, a respectful distance. That's the best thing. Because they continue to do hurtful, they're implicating themselves further and further in the reaction of being hurtful. So it's good for them, is don't give them the opportunity. Don't give them easy target to be hurtful. But respectful. It's easier said than done, but the principle is don't be an animal and someone's attacking, so then you retaliate. Be a service-minded person and try to think of ways, pray to Krishna for ways that, and if your heart is open for doing something of benefit, they can see you're resilient, you're not impacted by their hurtfulness. Just a little bit like Rajikashipu and Prahlad. He tried this and tried that, and Prahlad was smiling. More than smiling, he was telling his dad, "Dad, you won't understand. People that are in duality like you won't understand." So you don't have to be Prahlad, but he was protected. So you will also be protected from the protection is bhakti itself. So you stay within that bhakti space. How can you be of service? And then Krishna may give you some indication. You don't know what that indication might be, and what's hurting them, and what can help them do a U-turn, or at least a little bit soften. If you can do that, that's great. Okay. There's another anonymous. Let's see if we find someone with a name. Okay. Here's the thing.
Well, that's my daughter. She's
Is she
7
here?
years old.
This is the wrong
Yeah.
basket. Somebody without a name. Okay. There's a lot of these parts. Kushi.
She's here.
Yes?
Yes, she's here.
Okay. What is Krishna's most meaningful pastime? You are asking meaningful? What do you mean by meaningful? Subjectively to me? Meaningful to me?
No.
Well, you have the word.
Most impactful to you or for Krishna? Most
Oh.
meaningful for Krishna.
Oh,
Okay.
well, you know the answer. That's what we've been speaking about, what Garuda has been speaking about downstairs. Yeah, Krishna has equal affection for all. There's 5 primary rasas, and all of those rasas are meaningful to Krishna. But superlative, the epitome or center of all those rasas, the collection of all of them is the relationship, the conjugal rasa and relationship with Radharani. So, his whole topic has been not just the rasa mandala, but that which, the loving exchange that leads up to it. And it's something he spoke about yesterday was in that section, the Rasa Mandala, the Rasa Lila section, Canto 10. In 2 places, Krishna detects pride and he just disappears. Once is with the gopis in general, and the other is specifically with Radharani. He just disappears. So it's a lesson. Meaningful is from Krishna's side, the loving exchange of the highest level where there's no pride. We had a really fantastic discussion. Maybe you should listen to the recordings, but particularly yesterday's topic about pride. Because there was a question, I raised a question. How can the gopis have pride? They're pure. How can they have pride? Good question, reasonable question. But the pride, in different ways of describing what it is, it's a transcendental kind of pride. It's a pride in thinking how fortunate we are to be here with Krishna, and in a comparative sense, thinking in comparison to others that aren't here with Krishna, I'm special. It's the comparative kind of appreciation with gratitude, the kindness that Krishna has given, but thinking I'm special. Like I'm at the center rather than Krishna's at the center. So Krishna disappeared. And then later, there's a second time when Krishna's carrying Radharani on his shoulders, and she's feeling the same, how fortunate I am in comparison with others, and Krishna just disappeared. And then he reappeared when her making a comparison of her good fortune to others. So we had this nice discussion about that scene of Krishna's disappearing. From Krishna's side, the meaningfulness is a giving of oneself completely, where Krishna is at the center and the happiness of Krishna is at the center, and there's nothing else but the happiness of Krishna at the center. So that's most meaningful. And it doesn't have to be in the conjugal rasa, any of the rasas, like Mother Yashoda or the cowherd boys, where the happiness of Krishna is at the center in different rasas or mellows or flavors or moods of love. Most meaningful. But of all the leelas, that rasa leela or the rasa mandala of the gopis. Nice question. You want to read over my shoulder or what's going on?
I was just going to making sure the name is this child is present here.
No name here. Another anonymous. Maybe anonymous is good. Vishaka.
Krishna constant.
Is you? Yeah. How to deal with hurtful comments, similar to the other question, isn't it? About religion. Oh, about religion from friends when you don't want to explain the scriptures to them. How to deal with hurtful comments about religion from friends when you don't want to explain the scriptures to them. Hurtful comments about religion. Well, a lot depends on the person, the nature of their hurtful comments, you, the circumstance, the time and the place. So it depends. A lot depends on how to deal with it. An answer that I gave to the previous similar question is, consider in the mood of service, how can you be of service? Because the person is hurtful, their comments are hurtful. And you want to just be a punching bag and have them be hurtful in a religious manner or any other manner. But consider, that this is a principle to live by. Step back from the circumstance, mentally, and go into a nice reflective space with mode of goodness. And here's the situation. So you step out of the situation within your mind, but you're looking at the situation, the person, the hurtfulness, the topic is religion, and you can consider who you are. This is something that all religious traditions say. One person I really like is Mother Teresa. You've heard her name before, right? So Mother Teresa. Hey. I was wondering if you were still here and you'd walk in the door. No, I had no idea where you were. I hadn't seen you, and I'm staying down. Anyway, we'll talk. Okay. Okay. Yeah, good to see you. Mr. Krishna. So depending upon the person and all the other variables, what's going on here? Like, is there something that's inside this other person that's causing that hurtfulness? And is there something that I can do from my side that I can help diminish or alleviate or that the issue of hurtfulness that they're communicating, make it different, make them feel different and speak differently. You may not have an answer, that's okay. But if you ask yourself that question, you're more likely to get an answer than if you don't ask yourself the question. So, service question. How can I be of service to help this person? What's going on? So, like, if somebody's hungry, you give them something to eat. Somebody's mind is disturbed. What's the cause of what's behind their mind being disturbed? And what can I do or we do to help the person who's got a disturbed mind? And so it depends on you and the circumstance, what you're going to do. But if you go to that space, yeah, it was in Mother Teresa example. Mother Teresa has a number of nice sayings. One of them is, when you know who you are, no one can hurt you. So they're doing hurtful talk, but you know who you are. So you smile. You smile on the inside, You smile on the outside, and they're trying to be hurtful. And you keep smiling. You know, what's with you? You're supposed to be hurt. You're supposed to, say ouch, or get angry or something, but you're not doing any of those things. So what's with you? So just be yourself, know who you are, and be yourself. In all, favorable and unfavorable circumstances. That's the best, and live your life for the purpose of pleasing Krishna, then you're protected. They can't hurt you. That's Mother Teresa. When you know who you are, nothing can touch you. So it takes a while to have even a preliminary, what to speak of a deeper understanding of who you are. But as that grows, that's what you do. You introspect and try to understand who you are and what's the world in which we live and what's really important to me, and let me live my life that way. Your value system drives the way that you live your life. And somebody comes along and is trying to bash that, saying something hurtful or doing something hurtful. But, when it's secure inside, that there's nothing they can do to harm you, but you may be able to do something to help them, depending on them and the circumstances. What do you think? Hmm? Those that put their name get better attention. Dayalu Radha Dasi. Radha Krishna. How can I be more sensitive to the needs of others?
Like with my family, I feel like I'm insensitive sometimes. With my family, I feel like sometimes I'm too insensitive, or especially with those who I'm really close with.
Why? Self-absorption?
Maybe, I don't know. I think it's more, since I'm so close to them, I also sometimes get too loud with them, or I'll say something kind of mean or things like that. So those who are really close with my family, I'm not
Sensitive
super
enough.
respectful and polite.
There's a saying, familiarity breeds contempt. So the antidote for familiarity is respect. You don't have to take 10 giant steps back, but you can be very close and proximate to someone, but never diminish respect. And that's a sign of culture. It's a sign of spiritual well-being, because without having respect for others, close or distant, there's no question of loving exchange or loving dealings, and those that are closest physically, proximate, you take them for granted. And respect is you don't take something for granted, or the person for granted. But the gifts that have been given to you by God and by the devotees of God, maintain a sense of gratitude to them for who they are and what they've given, and with that which you have been given, there's more. And I'll shut myself off from receiving more if I don't have proper respect and proper regard. And another nice thing is scriptures that teach by example. people that are around you that teach by example the opposite? The Mahabharata and Ramayana are both very good examples where the five Pandavas, they're in constant association with one another, or the four brothers, Ramchandra and his three brothers, and their personalities were very, very different, but always very respectful, and even in the most of intimate associations. And they have ways of saying things that are very inspirational. Okay, Mother Mohan, wake up. This one's yours, your name is here. What are your opinions on AI? How can we use AI for Krishna consciousness? Well, I don't have an opinion about AI, artificial intelligence. And in one sense, everything that exists comes from the same source. So AI comes from the same source. And to see that something as in relation to where it has come from, then the opportunity to see how I can engage myself with that something will come. Like anything else that we can use in Krishna service. There's certainly, certain kinds of categories of things we can't use in Krishna service because they're sinful. But that which is not sinful, beware of being indulgent and being distracted from the purpose of life. In other words, one can get so absorbed in technology, AI, or anything else, that you just lose track of sadhana bhakti. And you spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and then the next day becomes addictive. So if something can be utilized in Krishna service in a way that it's not become addictive or Krishna disappears from the picture, then you, according to one's ability, you could use that something, AI or anything else, in Krishna's service. Like, music. That's another, music has its place in Krishna's service. But one can become so absorbed. I know somebody a little bit older than you, and he's really absorbed in music. And it got to the point where he became so absorbed in music that he lost his taste for sadhana. And when he lost his taste for sadhana, he found that he also lost his taste for music. It's kind of like neither here nor there. And so then what to do? So it's not the music was the problem, it was the indulgence. So the exclusion of Krishna, and then the musicality became everything, and that doesn't have taste, like music from Krishna. You have some thoughts on your question? How you can use?
I had like some ideas of how you could use it. For example, like you said about music, AI can create music, and like AI can do a lot of things that humans can't. So, like using that ability, I was trying to ask like what are the possibilities that we could use with AI that we couldn't with humans for service with Krishna.
Well, I'll give a little example. Downstairs, down in the temple room, during the morning class. Were you there for the morning class? Yeah. So the person who was moving the slides made this PowerPoint, and he made the PowerPoint, and he also made the AI artwork. Now he's an older generation person. It's not his field, not a profession for him. But he learned enough so he could make some nice illustrations of Krishna. And it became part of his devotional service. And I don't know what he does the rest of his time, but it's something, just, at least in that particular application, it's something he can use for Krishna. And it was nice. It was nicely done. Because I've seen some artwork that's I generated that's really, not so attractive. So to do it in such a way that is eye-appealing and inspires bhakti, that take bhakti to inspire bhakti. And that's an example, but so your application might be whatever it might be. But make sure, two things. Make sure that Krishna stays as the purpose-driven, driving that activity, not just your mind finds it absorbing and so you go off and do that absorbing thing. And Krishna just went somewhere. Purpose-driven. Anisha? Is that a name?
Yeah, Anisha's all the way at the back.
Okay. This is our last question.
Yes, ma'am.
Last question. You're okay. You're okay. I can see. How can I, this is the how-to, spread Krishna consciousness in school without appearing too spiritual? Well, it has much more to do with your behavior and conduct than it does your words. So good behavior, good conduct, attractiveness of character is refreshing and appealing. And there may be people who see someone who's more of a mode of goodness person, and they may mock them or take advantage of them, or they'll feel kind of envious of them or something. But if you want to draw people to Krishna consciousness, be Krishna conscious on the inside, and on the outside, you're looking to Krishna for some inspiration and how, besides your character and conduct and smile, you're being very, it's attractive. And service-mindedness is one of those things. It's attractive and mode of goodness. So it's refreshing. No, we're not competing with others that may also have those qualities. If others have those qualities, fantastic. The more you can encourage those qualities, and then when they ask you, then you can very gently and carefully titrate just a little bit at a time, depending on the person. So attract more than give. And another is to become a good listener. Because when you understand what's going on with people, and they know that you understand what's going on with them, there's a bond. And then when there's a bond, then you'll have a better sense of when and how to say something and not have it being taken as, overbearing or condescending or judging or something. Just sharing. Okay. Cookies.
Do you have time for picture with children or the children?
Let me do them. Everybody likes cookies.
Which gets